The brush tool is going to be a little bit more dynamic than the pen and pencil tool in the way that it lays down color. Experiment with all the different types of brush tips that you have available. Even though they don't have as many available as Photoshop, for example, they're pretty dynamic in their own respect. So the most commonly that I use are the opacity watercolor and transparent watercolor. Each brush tip that you select, you will see that each one is going to stack just a little bit differently than the next. So it's a matter of experimenting with the different types of brushes to find the one that you like to brush with the most. Here's a quick illustration of what the brush tool options look like when painted. In your tool property window, you can adjust the settings there. The brush size controls the width of the brush. The amount is how much color is applied. Now, since pressure sensitivity of my pen determines the strength of the color I'm using, I usually ignore the slider. Paint density lays it on thicker, color stretch pulls ground color, and brush density is your overall transparency of your paint. The airbrush tool can be good for coloring, but it's mostly used for highlighting and shadowing and blending. In the first example you see here, I've done blending with two colors next to each other, just drawing lines of airbrush. As you can see, it blends all right. It's not bad. It's good if you're in a pinch and you want to do some speed painting. The transition between one color and the next is pretty adequate. In the second example, this is going to be the best way. When you have two neighboring colors, use your eyedropper tool and select one of the colors. In this example, I chose blue. And you're going to use your airbrush tool, and you're going to make a few strokes in the middle between the two colors. Don't fill it in. What you're trying to do is to create a new color. As you can see here, if I use my eyedropper tool, it created like a medium purple. Not necessarily the bright purple, but it's like a transit between the two colors. Once I get that color, I take my airbrush tool and then I fill in that line, and as you can see, it creates a very nice and smooth transition. To create a glow effect with your airbrush tool, you're going to need two layers, one for the object and a second one below it for the glow layer. So we're going to select the object layer, and we are going to create just a white stick with the pen tool. Just create a little rod there. Select the layer below it, and then select any color. It could be red, green. We're going to do red. Go to your airbrush tool and lightly draw beneath it the color. So it's a really fast way to create laser effects or lightsabers or anything that you want with a glow or a halo. The eraser tool is easy to use. Select it in the tool window and select any layer that you want to erase on. Let's use the color layer as an example. I just click and drag over the area that I want gone, and it erases it for me. To change the settings of your eraser, go to the tool property window. There you can adjust the size, the anti-aliasing, the fuzziness of the edges, the hardness, which is going to be the blur effect at the tip of the brush, the brush density, which is the opacity of the eraser if you want a lighter or hard eraser, and the stabilization controls the smoothness of your lines. Even though I recommend the airbrush tool to be one of the best tools for blending, the blend tool specifically has a lot of fun options to play with. I drew an example to show what each tool does based on pulling it from one color to the next. A quick note on the fiber blend tool. If you have that selected, you can change the tip. Go to the tool property window and click the wrenches in the bottom right corner. It's going to open a window. Click the brush tip menu, and on the right click the material tab and click this little drop down arrow. This will allow you to select from a multitude of presets that Manga Studio has. The copy stamp tool works very similar to Photoshop's clone tool in that if you want to copy a certain painted area on your canvas and paint it somewhere else, which is good for blending in backgrounds, hold Alt over the target area that you want to copy. When you let go of Alt, anywhere else that you paint, it will start painting as if you were cloning that specific part of your canvas. The fill tool allows you to fill any area that you select on a select area with the color that you choose. So let's choose a color. Let's choose like a yellow. We're going to click on this layer and it's going to fill the whole canvas. Now if I want to select off a certain area that I want to have filled, I can go to my Select Marquee tool in my tool window, drag a window, go to my Fill tool and click inside of it, and it's going to fill that area with that color. The gradient tool allows you to fill in backgrounds quite easily and with speed. Select the gradient tool in your tool window, and what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag, and it's going to make a line. Now the longer you make the line, the longer the gradient will be. The shorter the line, the shorter the gradient will be. When you get a desired length, let go, and it will fill your selected layer with that gradient. To choose a color for your gradients, simply go to your color wheel and choose a color, and click the little box above the slider in your tool property window. Once you have the color selected, again draw a line, release, and it will create the new gradient. This is a general demonstration of all the gradients that you can choose from when you have your gradient tool selected. There's foreground to transparent, foreground to background, stripe, background color stripe, and photosphere. The foreground to transparent will fill both sides of whatever line you draw with color or transparency. The foreground to background will do the same thing but circular. Stripes are self-explanatory. Background color stripe simply allows you to choose between your primary and secondary colors on your color wheel. And a photosphere will act the same as a foreground to transparent, but it will create a nice crisp horizon on your primary color. To create frames for your comics, you can customize the ones that you want by clicking the figure tool in your tool window, and it gives you subtool options on the left side here. You can freehand them or create custom sized ones with a rectangle or polyline frame. If you want to use templates that are pre-made and you don't want to customize them, open your material window, go to All Materials, Manga Material, Framing Template, choose the one that you want, click and drag onto the canvas, and it creates the groups for you in your layer window. To create custom frames, click Figure tool in your tool window, then click the rectangle frame in your subtool window. Drag and drop a desired size, and you'll see in your layer window that it automatically creates a group for you with one blank layer and a frame background. You can add extra layers anytime by clicking the new raster layer button. And since this group acts like a folder, you can reduce and expand the contents of that window. The polyline frame tool will allow you to make a frame just the same as a rectangle one, but you can customize it with straight lines. Just click on the canvas until you get a desired shape and where you started, and it creates a group just the same. To freehand a comic frame, click the frame border pen and freehand draw as if you would a pen. Now it's also pressure sensitive like a pen would be. And where you started, when you let go, it creates a group and you're ready to draw. To create chat bubbles for your comics, click the text button in your tool window with a little chat bubble on it. You can custom make your own in the subtool window, or you can choose from an assortment of pre-made ones in the material window. Go to All Materials, Manga Material, Balloon. Move the slider up and down to choose the one that you wish. To select from the pre-made balloons that were already made, find one that you want, click and drag and drop over the selected layer, and it will create one on the canvas for you. Use the anchor points to adjust the size, position, and the angle of your chat bubble. To create a custom chat balloon, click the text button in your tool window with the little chat balloon on it, and in your subtool window, click Ellipse Balloon. Drag and drop over your canvas. When you release, it will make the chat bubble. On the tool properties, you can choose the line and fill color with your color wheel, as well as the brush size. That will adjust the thickness of the border of your chat bubble. The curved balloon tool allows you to customize a chat balloon by creating different anchor points. Every time you click, it creates a new curved anchor point, so you can make a loopy chat bubble, and where you started, and it creates the bubble for you. The balloon pen allows you to freehand your chat bubbles. It works just like the pen tool, so it reacts to pressure sensitivity. Just make sure that you end where you started, and it creates the chat bubble for you. To add balloon tails to any chat window that you create, click the text button with the chat bubble or the tail on it, and click the balloon tail option. And in your tool property window, you'll have three options: a straight line, a polyline, or a spline. Now the straight line, you click and drag from the inside of the window out. When you let go, it creates the line. The polyline and the spline are a little different in that when you click inside the window, you make multiple clicks. Each click that you make creates a new elbow. In order to end the line, hover your pen where you want the line to end and hit enter. A quick demonstration of creating each tail. We're going to start with the straight line. It's a click and drag. The polyline is multiple elbow. Hover my mouse or pen where I want it to end, hit enter. And the spline is the same way, it just makes curved elbows. Where I want it to end, I hover and I click enter. Not every time will your chat tails come out straight or perfect. To adjust them, go to your select tool in your tool window and select the spline that you want to edit. Click anywhere on the border of the spline and it will show little anchor points. You can click and drag those so that the spline will be adjusted exactly as you need it. And you can also do that for the tip. To create dialogue for your comic books, select the letter text button in your tool window and click anywhere on the canvas on a new layer and start typing. Now once you're done, you can click any other layer and it makes the little adjustment size anchors go away. Now it looks pretty small, but you can adjust the size of the font anytime by clicking the layer and dragging the corners or the sides of the window. It will adjust the font size for you. The correct line tool works very similar to the select tool in that it allows you to move anchor points on a selected object. I made a chat bubble here, and with the correct line tool selected, I can either manipulate the anchor points by clicking and dragging the little anchor point boxes. I can add extra anchor points by holding shift and clicking on the line, which gives me a little bit more versatility on how I can customize the shape. Or I can take away the anchor points that exist by holding down the Alt button and clicking on those same anchor points. Alright, you made it to the end, and I hope you liked it. Now this is nowhere near all the features that Manga Studio 5 has to offer, but it should be enough to dip a toe. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I've learned most of what I presented in the video by trial and error. Remember to use a tablet. Even if it's a small one, it's going to be worlds better than a mouse. Same with the gaming pad. It's going to make longer drawing durations more comfortable. Save often, back up your work, and if you dig the video, I'll make more content in the future. So with that, thank you all for watching.